All right, Team Obama should get ready to do some damage control. This after one of the president's surrogates and Virginia, quote, truth team member, State Senator Louise Lucas, went on a local radio program and said racism is the driving force behind the Romney campaign. Listen to this.
Let's be real clear about it. Mitt Romney is speaking to a group of people out there who don't like folks like President Barack Obama in any elective or leadership position. We know what's going on here, and some people may not be afraid. Some people may be afraid to say it, but I'm not. I'm not afraid to say it. He's speaking to that fringe out there who do not want to see anybody other than a white person in a leadership position.
Do you really believe now that this is still about race?
I absolutely believe it's all about race, and for the first time in my life, I've been able to convince my children finally that racism is alive and well.
And joining me now with Reaction Corps spokesman Niger Innis and Fox News political analyst Juan Williams. You know something, Juan? If you go back to what we now refer to as a sister soldier moment, it was an opportunity. Bill Clinton stood up to a part of his base. And actually, in the end, politically, America said, good job, President Clinton. It was very early on. We now have this president takes $1 million from Bill Maher. He lectures the country about tone and civility, takes $1 million from Maher, you know, C word, B word, and every word in between about Governor Palin, about her kids, about Rick Santorum's kids, Michelle Bachmann. Now I have another case. Here's one of his surrogates on radio saying these horrific things. The silence is deafening. Where is the moral courage from the guy who lectures repeatedly about tone and civility, Juan? Where is it?
Well, first, let me just say to you, Sean, I think what she said is wrong and should be condemned because I think it inhibits honest debate. But I'm just saying, if you're saying that somehow that Republicans and Democrats should engage in condemning surrogates, you think about the Republican Congressman Westmoreland. You know, he was the one who called Obama and Michelle Obama uppity. Then there was a congressman from Colorado who called President Obama a tar baby. So I think if Republicans want to go back and forth on this issue, it'd be a losing hand for Republicans. Don't forget what happened in Virginia. That
let me tell you why.
Incident.
Because this president, the difference is Republicans condemned each of those instances that you talked about. There were demands for apologies by Republicans. And this is done on the president's behalf, just like accepting $1 million from Maher. Here's the problem, Niger, is that the president can't run on his record. It's a war on women. It's a war on Bain. It's a war on Mitt Romney. Surrogates can say whatever they want. He never steps in, except to lecture the country on civility.
People should listen to the full context of that radio interview. The state senator was responding to the fact that Mitt Romney was so close to President Obama in Virginia in spite of the Bain attacks, in spite of the president's campaign spending all that money in a state that was supposed to be safe for President Obama. And it was in response to that that the state senator played the race card. You know, there was a brilliant book that was written a few years ago by a friend of yours and mine, Sean, called Enough, about the racial demagoguery of race hustlers and the race card that is being played as a political weapon. And that book was written by a guy named Juan Williams, who brilliantly demonstrated and showed and documented the kind of race-playing politics that many, unfortunately, too many black leaders have engaged in. Well, that kind of politics has now become the mainstream objective and a mainstream agenda and political tactic of the Democratic Party. As recently as last week, this former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, accused Mitt Romney of wanting to get booed at the NAACP to satisfy racists. That kind of game playing, I know Juan Williams is very much against.
See,
it's an insult to black people.
I agree.
I agree with you. Here's the question. Look, I know you're going to vote for President Obama. And I remember watching you on election night, and this was a really important moment for the country. I think an African-American president, I just wish that he was conservative. And I don't agree with his politics. That's all this is about. But the thing is, he never has the moral courage. He's got, literally, this is teed up. It's right there. Knock it out of the park. Stand up for the things that he lectures us about. He doesn't have the courage, the moral courage to stand by his lectures. That's a big problem for him, Juan.
Well, I think that's a double standard. I don't see the Republicans.
Forget about Republicans. What about the president?
I don't see that. Well, the president, I think, should stand up on this one. I couldn't agree more, and I appreciate Niger making the point.
Bill Maher.
No, I think that Bill Maher, again, I just think that that's reprehensible. I don't like that kind of rhetoric.
Exactly.
People say he's a comedian, but I find it offensive. Not to my taste. So I'm not supporting it in any way. But what I am saying to you is there is a real conversation to be had about race in this campaign. If you got the first black president seeking re-election, it's going to come up. And you look at the poll numbers right now. Obama won 42% of the white vote back in 2008. Right now, he's down in the 30s. And you got to start asking questions. People say black America, 90% of black America supports Obama, even though there's high unemployment. But you look at exactly who on the white side supports Romney no matter what. You got to start to ask yourself questions. What role does race play in this campaign?
With all due respect, Juan, the reason that the race card is being played by the Democrats and are going to continue to be played by the Democrats is because of a poll that we just saw by America's PAC that in Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee, a battleground state of Wisconsin, Obama is currently getting only 83% of blacks supporting him. That is a nightmare for Obama in an important city, in a battleground state. And you can be sure that the black community, the brown community, Latino community, that those that came out in record numbers for Barack Obama in 2008, that vote is depressed right now. And that's why the race card is being played, and that's why we should all stand united against it. It's unhealthy for our country, and it's a betrayal of that state senator that talked about us not being red states and blue states and all this unity talk. Hope and change has become hopeless.
Let's have an honest discussion, but I think you have to also have an honest discussion about race, Niger, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want people who criticize Romney to be put down as anti-Mormon or anti-white. Let's have an honest discussion about jobs, the economy.
And
as long as it's a two-way dialogue, not a monologue.
He punts. He does not live by the courage of the words he reads from his teleprompter. That's problematic, and the American people see all these opportunities pass, and I think he's showing great weakness and a lack of leadership, but we'll let the American people decide. And Juan, that was a great book, by the way. Niger's right.